Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I have a book to talk about, and you may have already heard about this book. It's not a brand new book, but it's not a real old book. And it's not the kind I usually read. But I saw it and I thought, I'll read it. Just based on the, silly, stupid really, based on the cover. That's why I picked it up. You'll see. Anyway, this is an open collaboration, of course. It's hashtag Thursday BookTube, and it's hosted at Life with Patty and at My Mountain Home and Kitchen. My glasses are on top of my head again. Okay. So this is Patty and this is Daphne, and you don't have to add that, just this and this, either in your title or your description below. And so what you want to do is you want to get a book or a bookshelf or a bookstore or anything to do with a book, anything to do with literacy, anything at all with the printed word. And so you want to then talk about it. So people, myself included, have done things that aren't like a novel. They're a comic book, a cookbook, a children's book that you liked when you were little, a children's book your child likes right now, a textbook, a gardening book, just anything. Take a tour of a bookstore. There's an idea. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Anything will do to do with literacy. And so here is my book. I'll take this down and I will put this up. Oops, hold on a minute. I gotta see what I got going on here. First, I'm going to tell you just what I saw, and it was on Amazon. I was shopping for crafty things, craft stuff, and I saw this book as, you know how they'll show you things that they think you might be interested. Well, they got me. A Spool of Thread. It was just so homey and so even crafty, and I just loved the thought. A spool of blue thread, and they've got it on one of these like vintage rolls here. And it's by an author named Anne Tyler, who as going through the book and the other things she's written, I don't think I have ever read an Anne Tyler book. That's not to say that 35 years ago or something I did and I just don't remember, but I don't think I've read this for sure. So the first chapter is going to drag you in. Part 1, can't leave till the dog dies. I laughed my butt off. I don't know why. It's not funny that a dog would die, but there's some thought in that statement because I can't go to the grocery store unless I lock my dogs up in their nighttime baby bed. They each have a bed on the side of the bed, my husband's side and my side, because my little girl will stress potty until I get home. The boy, I have video of it somewhere. He will put his head straight up, nose to the ceiling, and the entire time I'm gone. It's pathetic. They think that I've probably been eaten by wolves, I guess, because they think they have to take care of it. All right. So anyway, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Anne Tyler. I went off the beaten path, didn't I? Anne Tyler is now in her 80s. She has been writing for years. Her Wikipedia talks about how because I looked it up, how she used to lay in bed when she was very little, like 5 years old, and make up stories in her head so that she would fall asleep. She has a Quaker background as a child. Her parents and her brothers and sisters, I think she had brothers and sisters, lived in a Quaker community where they gardened and they woodworked and they took care of horses and cows, like whatever Quakers do, and, that kind of thing. So she's just, common, regular people. I believe it said she lives now in Michigan, I think. Anyway, I'm going to tell, I read this and I wrote it down. Loads of fans of her writing style, lots of them. Not always great reviews. So, her writing have been called, there we go, Her stories have been called unrealistic, overly sweet, and even campy. A quote from Ann Tyler. She quotes back, "What's piss and vinegar to some is milk and cookies to me." How classy is that? I love it. So anyway, the first chapter, well, I didn't even read the whole chapter yet. I was falling asleep, about 8 pages of the first chapter. No dog died. No dog was around. I didn't even hear about a dog yet. But it says that she and her husband are empty nesters, and they have 4 children altogether. All are grown and off on their own. They don't come around a lot, but they do some. They have 2 boys, 2 girls. The one boy was always problematic as a kid, always. And so he's gone off on his own, and he just doesn't touch base very much at all. They hardly hear from him. They don't know where he is. It's like he travels and he has his own life or whatever. So they're getting in bed in this giant house where they raised 4 kids, and they're describing the house, and the old, like, probably 1960s furniture, like I have a lot of furniture like that. And it's just, a nice homey setting. They're getting ready for bed. She's already in her pajamas. He's taking his shoes off, sitting on the bed, with his feet on the floor. And the phone rings, and it's 9:00 at night. And they're thinking, oh, who can that be? Well, uh-oh. And he answers the phone. He says, hello. It's a landline. He says, hello. And the person on the other end, you don't know who it is. You just hear him replying, and she's looking at him. He goes, well, hi. It's good to hear from you. What are you up to? Where are you? And then, okay. And then you hear, he says a bad word. He says something like, what the hell? Or something like that. And then he looks at the phone and he hangs it up. She goes, who was that? And she says, and I forget his name. It was their son, say Bill. I don't know what his name was. I forgot. What happened? Call him back. Well, he didn't leave a number. He didn't say where he was. What did he say? He said, well, it was really short. He said, Dad, something like, Dad, I have something to tell you. I said, okay. And he said, I'm gay. And then I said, what the hell? And he hung up. Okay, so that's where it hooked me. And the mother, who is in her adult life, she raised her children this way. She is a psychologist or therapist or something like that. And Dad is a construction worker. So they immediately start going back and forth about, well, calling back. Oh my gosh, we'll never see him again. How could you reply to him that way? What were you thinking? I was in shock. I didn't know what to do, And then they start blaming one another. Well, it's because you're a therapist and you mollycoddled your whole life. Anything goes. And then she says, me? Well, it's because you're a construction worker and you always forced him to be such a man's man. And back and forth. And finally, he gets up and leaves the room. He goes in the bathroom. It's in the bedroom, the bathroom, master bath, and closes the door. So at their age, they're past drama and stuff, and they've been married for 100 years. And so he said, she just waits. And when he comes out, he has more to say and she has more to say. And it goes on and back and forth. And in the end, they decide, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out, call the operator, call the last number. He goes, you can't do that. Nobody will let you do that. Because remember, this is a long time ago and it was a landline. Okay. She goes, what about that star 69 thing? Now, you have to know, when I was a young adult and I had little children at home, and you can maybe still do this on a landline, you picked up the receiver and you pressed star 69, and it would call back the last number that called you. He goes, I can't do that. She goes, yes, you can. I'll do it. He goes, no, I'll do it. I'm the one that, upset him. So he goes to reach for the phone. She leans over to see, and the phone rings. Maybe it's him. It's not. It's their daughter who wants to know, what time are we meeting for lunch tomorrow? That kind of thing. She tells her, and then they look at each other and they go, I guess we'll never know. And that's when I stopped reading. So, it is a good book to me. I am enjoying it so far. I like her writing style. And from what I hear, it's going to be a good read. I mean, from people that online when I looked it up and everything. And I'm just stunned that I've never seen an Ann Tyler book. Back in the 80s and early 90s, I had certain authors that I read everything they wrote. And, I just don't do that anymore. I go by what I'm feeling, what I see, obviously. And sometimes I win and sometimes I don't. But I don't hold on to a particular writer. Okay, that's it for my BookTube Thursday. I want to thank Patty and Daphne for hosting this every week. And I wonder, have any of you read this? Don't tell me how it ends. And or have you read other Ann Tyler books? Like I said, I don't know. So get in on this if you've never done it. Hashtag Thursday BookTube at Life with Patty and at My Mountain Home and Kitchen in your description or your title. And go at it with a book that you love or one that you didn't. You could have picked up a book and thought it was a stinker and want the rest of us to know. I've never heard anybody do a negative, have I? I don't think I have. I almost did a magazine again, but it's been a while since I did a book review. So that's it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Pretty please, at least like. Bye-bye, everybody.